In the last 6 videos, we took a look at feelings and how they're directly connected to the things we need and how they can help us define our happiness pillars. Then we took a look at the roots of imbalance, and basically we just acknowledged the fact that, well, time is essentially how we balance our lives. Then we start looking at understanding better how we spend that time. And then we looked at the way to define activities that we can do and actions that we can do today for our different happiness pillars in order to be more balanced. Finally, we looked at how to identify those opportunities for changes and for more balance. And we looked at the biggest challenge that's on our way, habits. Now, let's put all of this together and take a look at the framework that I use and I offer you to use as well. So, put all together, this is pretty much what all of those videos and all those things I've been talking about get summed up into. So, the first thing is, all right, we need to keep on asking ourselves, how do I feel? So we understand if we miss or need something that we currently don't have, or yeah, this helps us define our happiness pillars. And then we jump to number 2 here. What do I need to spend more time on? And that is directly taken from those happiness pillars we would define in number 1. We just take a look at those, and if you break down a need into different activities, then you definitely know, at least I definitely know then, that I need to spend more time on doing this or doing that. This is number 2, and we then go to number 3. We need to understand how we spend our time currently if we want to make any change to it. And we need to remember that time is essentially how we can get balanced. So yeah, we need to take the time and write down often enough how we spend the time in our days. So because we can't really remember it, and so we really need to write it down and then go back to it. And we go to step number 4. We identify places in that time. So if we take the limited amount of time that we have, that include work and sleep and all the many things we do, and we've written down, say, for a week or a month where we spend our time, we need to go back and try and understand where are our balance opportunities. These are times where you could add something or do something differently or remove something and replace it with something else. Straightforward to number 5. Well, when we do this, when we answer these different questions, how do I feel? What do I need to spend more time on? How do I spend my time? And what are my balance opportunities? If we have answers to those 4 things, well, we go ahead and we start taking activities that we've defined based on number 1 and 2 here, and we try and incorporate them back in our life based on how we spend our time and how we think we could be spending it. So that's based on number 3 and 4. And so step number 5 is really to integrate new activities and do new things in your life, or do things differently. And so this is a bit of a trial and error exercise, because as I mentioned in some of the previous video, you may notice that it works. For me, sometimes it works, and for me, I try and spend some time, and I said, okay, I'm going to walk every day after work, and then I just can never find the motivation to do it after work, and so that's fine. But step number 5 is all about trying, making something a goal, and then trying and trying. And if it doesn't work, well, actually, let's jump right into step number 6. So whether it works or whether it doesn't work, so just make changes to how you live and the different, like how you spend your time and essentially how balanced you are. And so you may feel the effect of that, or you may not feel it. So that means you may feel a bit more balanced, or you may not. In any case, it is fine. If you're already balanced, still you should keep on going through that process over and over again, because it is otherwise very hard to notice that we just slipped into the unbalanced part, or less balanced part of things, I should say. So yeah, I want to share a bit my routine based on that framework. This is what a year, a month, and a week and a day look for me. No matter what's in it, at the beginning of a year, I will start looking back at last year, and if I documented everything, I will reflect on last year. Then I will write down the things that I believe I need. And all these things are based on what I noticed and how I felt last year. And I will set goals for this year in all aspects of my life, maybe family, maybe learning, maybe sport, hobbies. But I take my happiness pillar, and for each pillar, I define at least 5 goals. They may be super difficult, they may be super simple, but the point is really to incorporate all aspects of my needs into this one year. Then at the beginning of each month, I will look at the place I am in, my situation, and I will start thinking, okay, what are the things that I can get started on for each of my goals, for each of those happiness pillars, and I will define goals for the month. Again, those goals don't have to be done exactly this month or done exactly today, but they're goals. They're, I'm going towards them. And so I just take, an hour or two at the beginning of each month to do that. And that is my only habit, that is my only commitment. The beginning of each month, from the first or second, I will start writing down all my goals for the month. Moving on to a week. At the beginning, on each Sunday, I sit down for half an hour. Whether I do it, sometimes I do actually do it on Monday. But whether it is Sunday or Monday, I do sit down for half an hour. Take a look at my goals for the month. Because I get all my needs there incorporated. And I have at least a goal for each of my happiness pillar. And I start looking, all right, what can I do this week? All these things are important to me. So let's try and set goals for the week. And basically, that's it. Just in half an hour, it's all done, and I better know, and I know what are the things that are important to me for me to do this week. So at no time can I forget. I can just come back and take a look and notice that, oh yeah, all right, this is, if I want to be happy, if I want to be balanced, this is the thing I chose, and I know today this is what I need. And finally, on a daily basis, I spend 10 minutes at the end of each day. Oh yeah, by the way, on a weekly basis, I do not try to say, all right, I will do this on this day and at this time. No, that doesn't work for me. But yeah, by the end of each day, I basically come back and write down, all right, I slept from this time to this time, and I did this from that time to that time, this to that time to that time. And I do that every day. So at the end of the week, I can actually go back and say, hey, all right, so this is how I spent my time. And at the end of the month, I have one more routine, that is looking back at how I spend my time and assess, am I happy with that, how I spent my time, yes or no? And every now and then, I will also ask myself, all right, how do you feel? I usually keep it changes. Like one week, some month, I would not even go over it because I don't necessarily feel there is anything I need to change at the moment. But some months, it could be, 6 or 7 times where I just keep on asking myself, how do I feel? And sometimes it's very hard to find the answer. So this is my way, my routine to better understand my needs, to better help myself being balanced over and over again.